welcome to the Read Local show presented by Lit Carnivale and me, your host, Toy Thomas, author, blogger, and reading advocate. I'm so excited to share today's guest with you. Jana Song is a writer of cozy, whimsical, and epic urban romantasy books. Let's meet Jana Song. Hi, Jana.
Hey, how are ya?
I'm so good. I'm very excited to have this interview with you. I remember meeting you at a local author event, and I was just like, I have to get to know this person better. Before we get into the interview, though, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
I am a Virginia Beach local, born and raised here. I've lived here my whole life except for like a year and a half when I lived in Taiwan with my husband. Taught English for a year, loved living in Taiwan, not teaching so much, but then we came back. Let's see, I went to ODU, like I said, local girly. I majored in English linguistics, so always been kind of a storyteller. And I've been writing for, we'll round it down and say 20 years.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I also have a little bit of education experience, and I feel like I've been writing forever, so I can
Mhm.
relate to that.
Yep.
So the first part of this interview is a little segment that I call On the Bookshelf. And this is where me and the listeners get to know you as a reader. Let's see here. What was your what okay, let me start again. What is your favorite place to read, or what is your ideal reading setting?
Um, I don't know if you can really tell from where I am, but I'm actually sitting right in front of my bookshelves, and I have these like super cozy little chairs.
Oh, nice.
And they are my favorite chairs. They're like incredibly comfy, and this is usually where I curl up and read. I've got a light, my skylight kind of shines down on me, so it's like perfect amount of light. And yeah, I like to just hang out by my books while I read.
That's so cool. My place is a little weird because my bookshelf is nowhere near like my comfy couch. So I bring the books over
Mm-hmm.
to the comfy couch and I read there. Yeah.
I do that too. But I specifically like wanted these chairs because I was like, no, no, no. Like now I can just like reach over and be like, the pretties are right here.
Yeah, you created like the perfect little book reading nook with the comfy chairs.
Yeah, it's
I
great.
like that. Okay. Have you ever done a reading challenge? If so, what kind? And if you haven't done a reading challenge before, why not?
I've done several. I confess I'm a horrible mood reader, so like they're really hard for me.
Yeah.
But I've done like rainbow stacks. I love doing rainbow stacks because I like colorful books.
Yeah.
Um, I've done like the alphabet challenges where you pick a book that starts with each letter. I'm trying to think if I've done any others. But those are the two that come to mind. I normally join like buddy reads and stuff with
Yeah.
friends. So
Yeah.
I am a buddy reader. Again, horrible mood reader, so sometimes I fall behind on those, but
Yeah.
I do enjoy them.
That's cool. I really like reading challenges. I know for some people that the challenge aspects kind of takes away the joy from the reading of it. So like I get why some people don't. I
Hmm.
will have to say that the one time I tried to do a buddy read, I was the only one who read the book and I was buddyless.
Oh no. See, it's
But
kind of the other way around for me. Like I'm either like the only one who reads the book, or I'm like dragging and then and then I'm like struggling to catch up, but
yeah,
it's cool.
yeah, it's all part of the experience.
Yeah.
All right. So the last question I wanted to ask about your reading experiences is there a book that enamored you so much that you kind of wish you had wrote it or it inspired you to read more like it?
Yes. So Maggie Stiefvater, I don't know if you've read any of her books. She writes usually she writes young adult magical realism and magical realism, urban fantasy. These are the genres of my heart of hearts.
Yeah.
And the Raven Boys, the Raven Cycle is an incredible series. It has everything in a book that I absolutely love. Like I love the friendship aspect. There's just enough romance. Like I said, it is young adult, so like it's very mild on the romance.
Right.
Um, but the adventure, the coming of age, the friendships that are formed, the figuring yourself out, and then just falling in love with like the natural magic of the earth. 10 out of 10. I wish I
Yeah.
could read that series for the first time again.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about that series. I actually got the first book in the series, and it was one of those things where everybody else around me had already read it. So it's like I don't know. One of these days I'm gonna read it, but it's like I feel like I missed the boat on it.
No, I'm right here. If you want to read it and then send me all of your thoughts, I will be right there with you. I've read
Awesome.
them probably, gosh, I've read them probably um, 8 to 10 times.
Wow.
They're one of my like favorite reread books.
Oh, that's good to
So
hear. Oh, okay. I'm gonna break down and read it. I've decided.
she's also doing graphic novels for them, and I like the art is incredible.
That's what I've
So
heard, and I love graphic novels. So maybe I'll break the ice with the graphic novel and
mm.
maybe do like a back and forth kind of thing. I did that once with telling a little bit about me. The Wizard of Oz. I've always been like obsessed with it, and
Oh,
so
cool.
there's a graphic novel series for it. So I would read one of the books and then read the graphic novel, and I went back and forth like that. It took me like a
Oh,
year. It
I
was, but
love
it
that.
was a lot of fun. Yeah.
I've only done a handful of graphic novels. I feel like I get so absorbed into the artwork that I kind of lose the story. But I think with like the Raven Cycle, that would be a good one for me because I know that story like backwards and forwards, and I love it so much that I could enjoy the art and still get the story.
Yeah, that sounds cool. All right, so we've gotten to know you a little bit as a reader. So now I want to know a little bit about you as a writer. And so this is what I call the open book. And this is one of my favorite questions to ask. I don't ask it all of the time because it does get a little bit redundant, but I'm always curious. Do you consider yourself a plotter, a pantser, or something in between?
Oh, I am a plotter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've tried the Panther life. I've tried the insane plotter life. So I'm a plotter, but like not an extreme one, I would say. So before my first book came out, Visions of Snapdragon, I wrote those characters in 5 other books that will never see the light of day. But they taught me who I am as a writer. They taught me what works for me, what doesn't work. And I need some structure. So typically, what I do is I divide my book into 4 parts and I set word goals for myself because as you may have noticed, I'm a bit of a rambling mess. So if I don't have a goal in mind, the story is just going to go off in any which way. So I plot out my biggest plot points of the story. I know how it's going to end before I start. I add in some threads that I really know that I need to pull in there, and then I give myself enough space to tell the story, but I'm writing to each one of those goals. So I'm writing to the first plot point, and however it develops is how it's going to develop. And then, so it's like I'm a little tiny bit of a pantser, but I
Uh,
cannot call myself a pantser.
no,
So
I like that though. That's a different type of structure that I haven't considered. That's really creative. I like that.
thanks.
Yeah.
It's the only way that works for me.
I've been playing around with trying not to be so much of a plotter, but I am one of those. Like I'm a little annoying with how much I plot, and so I get this whole having a structure and you going with that.
Yeah, the very first book I ever wrote, like I said, will never see the light of day. I was 15, I think, when I wrote my first like full length novel, and I had every scene, every chapter plotted down. And the book was so stifled and so stiff and gross that I was like, I don't even want to look at this again. So the next time I was like, fine, I'm not going to outline anything at all. Went completely the opposite direction. Girl, I could not tell you what that book was about.
Yeah, but
Not a clue.
I'm glad you said that though, because I think a lot of times people imagine that however you write, you just always are writing like that. But it is a little bit of an evolution. I mean, I remember writing a book that's never going to see the light of day when I was younger as well. And you're right, you learn writing those books that you're not sharing with anyone else helps you figure out what's going to work for you moving forward. So, yeah.
I mean, it teaches you so many things more than just like the structure. Like, you learn your voice, you
Yeah.
learn how you tell a story. Like my writing voice is very different from all of my author besties, and I love that. Like our voices are all so incredibly different. But I feel like without those five wretched trial and error books, like like I wouldn't feel comfortable enough to share anything else. It's like you have to learn your craft first.
I like that a lot. I like how you state that. Sometimes I think you spend, at least especially when you're starting out, trying to mimic those people that you admire, but then once you realize your voice, you realize you don't have to be like them. You can have your own individuality, and that's where it
Mm-hmm.
really starts to shine.
Agreed.
All right, let's see. How do you know when an idea that you've come up with is ready to be developed into a story that you are gonna, you know, try to actually, do more with? It's not just an idea.
Oh, the real answer is that I call my best friend Emma, who is my sounding board for all of my ideas, and I just word vomit on her until she's like, "Yep, that's a book," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then I go back to my notes and like hammer it out into my plot, into my outline that works for me. But really, it's just a lot of whining until I feel like it
Yeah.
makes sense.
But that's good that you've got someone who's like a sounding board for you. I know that I've heard different people say that they know when it's something that they can't move forward unless they do it. Like it's like I
Mm-hmm.
can't do anything else unless I pursue this. Sometimes it's someone saying something similar to like what they were thinking, and it's like a sign to solidify, oh, I need to pursue this. So I think it's really interesting how different, people have these um benchmarks that they use to say, this is the story that I'm going to tell. So I like
A
that.
thousand percent.
All right. Last question that I want to ask about you as a writer. And this one, I've asked this question before and I keep working on it, trying to like reword it so that it's not something that's controversial. But the idea here is I'm the kind of person who thinks that anyone can be a writer. As long as you're writing, you're a writer. It does get a little bit different when you start to publish and share your, stories with the world. So the question is do you consider the markability of your work when you're writing it? And if not, why? Or if so, why?
Um, I would say yes and no.
Mhm.
So I write urban fantasy. I love to mix magic with reality. That's something that I just kind of do on the daily. Like I'm like, "Oh, the sun is shining, the fairies must be out." Like that's just kind of how my brain is wired. Like I look for the magic. Um and that's what I write. I'm I still consider myself very much a baby author, so marketing I feel like is very elusive. I'm not the kind of writer that can write to market, just because I feel like the stories that I have in me and the stories that I want to tell are just not always aligned with what the market is,
Yeah.
um, and that's okay. Like it's. Do I love the stories that are written to market? Absolutely. Do I have an entire bookshelf of them behind me? Yep. I just don't know if I will ever be the Sarah J. Maas type of fantasy writer or a Rebecca Yarros. And I have nothing but respect for these incredible women who write, but is that ever going to be me? I don't know. So I sort of think about it, but I think about the stories that bring me joy, and I want to write a. I love writing romance because I love the idea of somebody picking up one of my books and falling in love with these characters as the characters are falling in love.
Yeah.
So really, that's my goal as a writer.
I like that. I think you made a lot of really good points again, that readers sometimes don't think about is that there is a difference between writing to the market and then writing something that you then market. And so, as you said, there's nothing wrong with either of them. And I think that we have such diversity in the books and stories that are available to us now because of both of those approaches. So, yeah.
hmm I think specifically something that I tend to gravitate towards is I write very soft female characters. And that's something that I feel like is a bit controversial, especially in the fantasy space.
Yeah.
Fantasy has very strong, like the badass kind of female characters, whom I adore.
Hmm.
But it's just a very difficult trope for me personally to write. And a lot of my female characters, like while they're strong and they have these badass tendencies, it's not their defining feature. A lot of times their strength comes from their softness.
Yeah.
So, like, kind of grounding in their feminine energy instead of like in the warrior spirit, I guess.
Yeah, no, I like that because I feel like you can have too much of something. And so if every strong female character is this amazing like warrior, it almost negates these other characters who are just as strong but in a softer way. You have to have a balance of both to be able to appreciate them. So I love
Mm-hmm.
reading about these strong badass characters, but I also love reading about these strong soft women who are just as important and just as powerful without necessarily being warriors. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, so now we're going to talk about some of your work. This is what I call a book signing, and this is where we get to actually share with the listeners. The whole reason why I wanted to do this interview was because the first thing of yours that I read was one of your short stories. I believe it was it
Cat and mouse.
Cat and Mouse, yes, Cat and Mouse. And so after reading that, I picked up some of your other work. So let's talk a little bit about your work. What are some of your book babies that you want to talk about today?
Sure. I've got them here because they live on my, like I said, they live on my bookshelf, so they're always kind of hanging out. Um, this is, you shouldn't play favorites with your books, I know, but this series is absolutely my favorite. Visions of Snapdragon. This is the book that made me an author. These are the characters in this book are the ones that I have written all of those books that will never see the light of day. They finally found their home in this series, and they are so near and dear to me. I've been writing them for, like I said, we'll go with 20. 20 sounds good. 20 is a nice round
Yeah.
number. 20 years. So, Visions of Snapdragon is the first, Visions of Fire is the second, Visions of Kings is the last in the trilogy. So, those are my series, my favorite book babies. Like I said, I shouldn't pick favorites, but I kind of absolutely do.
Yeah.
Um, and then I wrote The Seas Between Us, which is a mermaid romantasy. I had no idea that mermaids were going to blow up kind of the same time that Seas came out. I was actually watching the new Little Mermaid movie, the animated or the live action one. And I was so enamored with the actress that played Ariel, and I am horrible with names. I know her name is Hallie, but that's
Yeah. Right.
could not tell you the rest of her name. I was so enamored with her and like listening to her sing, and I was like, oh my god, I'm like crying on the couch, and my kids are crying, and they're like, I don't know why I'm crying, but mom is. And I was like, I need to write a mermaid book. So that's how The Seas Between Us came about. I was also coming out of some hella burnout with releasing the trilogy within 3 months.
Oh,
Writers of the World. I don't recommend that.
wow.
Yeah, it was
So
mistakes. It's fine.
did you release like one every month?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe don't do that, guys. Learn
Yeah.
from me. Not smart. I was like, I need to write something completely different. So I went from the land to the sea, and that's how the mermaid book came about. And then I wrote Cat and Mouse, the one that you were talking about earlier. This was also coming out of burnout because, again, 3 books in 3 months, maybe not smart, but whatever. I'm not gonna like halfway dive into anything apparently. And a friend of mine was like, join this anthology with me and we'll write um, fall themed stories. And then that's how Cat and Mouse came about. And then lastly, um, Shifting Sands. I did a hardcover and a paperback. It's the same book, but my artist was like, we didn't talk about a color palette. Which do you like? And then she showed me these, and I was like, yes.
Yes.
So here we are.
Nice.
um, Shifting Sands is probably the spiciest book that I have, and it's my first romance that I've
Mhm.
written. And I will be writing more queer romance in the future. but that was a ride. They were so much fun. So.
Yeah. So I love the so again, I met you at a local author event. I was immediately pulled in by like your book covers. I could tell that there was whimsy involved with them. And then of course I read Cat and Mouse. I actually have the Seeds book. I'm reading it now, so I haven't finished it yet, so no spoilers. But so I could definitely tell that there was something special about you. So let's talk about so let's talk about your series, the your favorite book, baby.
Mm-hmm.
What about it? Like how I'm trying to think. I like to ask questions without giving too much of the story away. So what do you think readers why should they read that trilogy over someone else's trilogy?
Mm. So I would say this series is probably very different from any other. I'll call it a romantasy. I call my work urban romantasy,
Mm-hmm.
because I do urban fantasy romance. I'll say that this series is probably quite different from what you're typically expecting from that genre. I say this because my books have kind of a practical magic, stardust kind of vibe to them. Um, the series starts in, it's actually set locally. I made up a little area called Cape Margaret, but it is absolutely the Virginia Beach oceanfront. And if you have ever been there, you will understand the landmarks and Mari's absolute hatred of the HRBT is in these books too. So,
Nice.
um, but yes, it's set locally and then it moves into a fantasy world. So I'm kind of combining all of the things that I genuinely love about fantasy in this series. I love to be grounded in reality, like I said, to find the magic in every day. Um, I love the like epic kind of fantasy, like the actual like fantastic worlds. So I blended the two.
Okay.
Um, it's very much a girl power. It's very much a bromance. I love bromance. But it just has elements of all of the books that I've written before and the books that have shaped me as a writer are in here. And I feel like the more that I share about these books and like the more that people either see me or talk to me, you're going to see little snippets of like the things that I love the most in these books. So I would say that you should pick them up and give them a try because they are fun and they're quite funny actually.
Good.
One character in there, he probably needs his own content warning, but he's fine. He's fine. Um, and it's a reasonably low heat level. So if somebody is not super comfortable with that, this is a good series because you get a lot of like the swoony, kick your feet kind of romance without anything explicit on page. So,
I like that. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I find that I'm being drawn to, I don't know if this is going around everywhere, but I know it's me specifically, any stories that seem to have like this element of like friendship. I mean, obviously, if you're writing a romance, there's going to be some type of like love story involved, but I'm really big on like friendship right now. Would you say that this series has that element where friendship is really important?
absolutely. The main character, her name is Jack. Her sister, Peony, and her best friend, Mari, are like a bonded unit where one is, the other two are sure to follow. Um, and the strength that they gain from each other is something that's very pivotal in these books. Like I said, I very much write softer female characters, and Jack is about as soft as they come. She will stand her ground. She will stand up for herself, but she's a lover, not a fighter. Um, but her two besties slash sisters, because she sees them both as her sisters, um, will absolutely pick up the sword if need be.
Nice.
So she is the gentle heart. She's the gentle beating heart of the three of them. Likewise, the male characters in this series are also very, very close and very, very bonded. And that's something that I really love writing is I love writing male friendship
Hmm.
because as much as I love the girl power and I love seeing empowered women, I also really, really enjoy the emotional intimacy between men.
Yes.
Like it's very nuanced and we don't get to experience emotional intimacy with men very often. So it's something that I very purposely write into my books.
That's good. I really like that. I mean, I remember writing something that, again, at the time I thought this is strictly romance, but then I kept going back to like the side characters, and lo and behold, I was writing this incredible friendship between like my main male character and this other character, and I'm like, is that a thing? Am I missing something? So the fact that you're saying that that's in the series is just all the more reason to just devour it.
Yeah, I love I feel like there's so many different kinds of relationships in life. Like I love my husband to the moon and back. He is literally the like my person. Like he's the best thing ever. But the friendships that I have and like the way that they fulfill my heart and like add pieces to my heart. Like it's romance is beautiful and wonderful, but like you can't be human. You can't have that full human experience without seeing the love between friends.
Oh yeah.
So,
That's awesome. I want to ask just two more questions before because I want to get on to the next one. This next part is always the most fun for me. But so your mermaid story, what was that one called again?
the seas between us.
The Seas Between Us. I'm reading that one right now, so I haven't finished it yet. And I know I've read Cat and Mouse, and then you have the MM romance. Which one is that one called again?
Shifting sands.
Shifting Sands. And so there seems to be a lot of diversity like in your stories. Is that intentional or is that just how it happens to be?
It's a little bit of both.
Mhm.
I like I said, I'm a mood reader. I'm a mood writer. Um, I am very passionate about telling all kinds of love stories. To me, love is love. I will continue to write queer love stories. I will continue to write heterosexual love stories. Um, and to me, it's just incredibly important. I try to build diversity into the worlds that I create because life is beautiful and you can't have life without all colors of the rainbow. And I mean that in every way that you can possibly think of. So it's intentional, but not like I'm not trying to like, oh, I need to write this kind of character or this kind of character. It's these are people and they belong in life and they belong in stories and they're if it fits then they're gonna show up in my books.
I love that. Nice. And I one more thing that I did notice from reading the cat and mouse story is that and again a lot of people who maybe just read kind of casually or not like dedicated fantasy fans don't understand how powerful it is to use magical creatures to be able to get certain points across whether it's intentional or not. And I love how you do that, how you show like prejudices and injustices based upon like who you are and where you come from, specifically in that story because it's such a short story. I'm just like mind blown by it. And so kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
Will there be more of those characters?
Yes, 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 yes. So I mentioned that it was initially a part of an anthology that was like autumn themed. Because of that, in my mind, if it's one season, there needs to be the other three seasons because that's how I work. So eventually, there will be three more books in the Cat and Mouse universe with Gabriel and Alette going on their miscellaneous adventures. In my mind, it's going to be something that Alette gets into, and then Gabriel has to figure out a way to get her out of it. Um, because she is trouble incarnate, and she's probably my sassiest female character that I've written.
Okay.
Um, Mari is probably a close second, actually, but Alette is.
Right there. All right. Well, thank you so much. Like I said, this is just me geeking out, getting to interview authors because I love their works. But now we're going to get to know who Jana is for real, for real. We're going to ask you some silly questions and what I call don't judge a book by its cover. All right. So, first question up is name a one hit wonder or something that's generally considered like corny or cheesy, but you love it and tell us why.
Oh man. Um, so probably my like biggest cringe thing is that I am a hardcore ridiculous BTS fan. Um,
Yeah.
like you don't it's bad. I'm sending reels of them to my husband constantly and he's like, Yes, babe, they're beautiful. Yes, incredible voices, amazing cinematography. I actually have my BTS light stick. It's up on my bookshelf
Nice.
because I managed to get tickets to the World Tour concert this year, and I'm going in August, and I don't have a countdown yet at all. Not at all. I'm not neurotic at all. Why would I have that? Um, like, what?
That's awesome.
um, so yes, that's probably like my weirdest, like most cringe thing. But I kind of hate the term cringe because like anything that brings you joy is not cringe.
Right.
Like I'm all about celebrating the joy. I make every book that I read my personality, which is kind of a problem, but like I'm a fangirl through and through.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I get picked on a lot because of some of the things that I like that other people like consider cringy. I can't even think of like a specific example. I just know that I've had people look at me and be like, "You like that?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do. It brings me joy." So
mhm.
there you have it.
Yep, that's definitely me. I am a hardcore fangirl. My husband's just like, "Oh, are we hyper fixating on this?" And I'm like, "Yep."
Yeah, nice. All right. So the next question is, you can have a little fun with this one. So this was kind of an out of the box. I remember for a while back in like the early 2000s, because I used to do a lot of interviews then, people would always ask the questions like, if your life story was going to be turned into a movie, like who would play you in that movie? But that's not what I'm asking today.
Thank God.
So I'm all about doing something a little bit outside of the box. And I was floored when I saw that Pharrell Williams had done a biopic of himself using Lego. I was like, what? So that's the question. Like, if you're going to do an outside of the box, like story of your life, what would it be? Would it be Lego? Would it be claymation? Would it be anime? Would it be stick figures? Like, what would be your out of the box story and why?
I would love to be a painting in like the Impressionist style. Think like Monet or something, because that is my all time favorite kind of art style, and nothing heals my heart like going to an art museum. Um, so, yeah, like if I could have my life as like a Monet style painting, that would be amazing.
That would be cool. I could imagine maybe an actual gallery showing of like the different parts of your life as you walk throughout the gallery, all in
I
that like
would love that. I would be like a sobbing mess the whole time. That's probably my other cringe thing is that every emotion comes out of my eyeballs, like good or bad. Very classic Pisces here.
Yep. All right, and then the last question is, um, are you a singer? And by singer, I mean in the shower, in the car, when you think no one is looking. And what would you be singing in those situations?
1,000% yes. Um, Typically only when I'm alone or if I'm like torturing my children in the car, usually in the car. Sometimes when I'm doing dishes, but not very often.
Mhm.
Typically the car, though. Me and my car radio are bonded. Um, I sing Disney songs. I love singing Disney. Like I said, I'm a fangirl through and through. Um, I sing, this is like mega nerdy, but hi, glasses are real. Um, I love the songs from the Final Fantasy games,
Oh
like
my
Eyes on Me and A Thousand Words from 8 and 10, respectively. Those are my two favorites. I will sing those in the car. And then, of course, BTS,
God. Of
always and
course.
forever. Of course. K pop Demon Hunters, oh my God.
Yeah.
I still listen to the music. My kids are over it, but I'm like, nope, here we go. Golden. Here we
Classic.
go.
I don't think enough people get a love to give enough love to that song. This is how it's done. Like
Oh my
that
God.
song comes, I'm like, this is how it's done, done, done. Like I freak out over that song.
Yes. And then what it sounds like.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
man, you want the tears to start? Instant. I feel like there's
yeah,
nothing that kills me as much as like a magical girl like entrance. And
yeah.
when they're like walking together, yeah, you probably can't see it on my bookshelf, but I also have a ton of Sailor Moon stuff too, because again, fangirl.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, like the magical girl energy, I'm all here for it.
love it, love it. Well, I think we have kind of made it to the end here. I've had so much fun. I'm so glad that you came on the Read Local show today.
Thank you
But
for having me. This was
yeah,
awesome.
yes, I And anytime I meet someone as dynamic as you, I'm like, I have to interview them and share it with the world. So
Thank you
um,
so much.
I understand that you have a special announcement involving Kickstarter. So why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners all about that?
Yeah. So, again, not to pick favorite book babies, but obviously picking favorite book babies. This is a completed trilogy, and it's going to be getting what I call the priestess treatment because Jack, the main character, she becomes a priestess at some point in the story. So, this series is getting the priestess treatment. It's going to be a deluxe omnibus with all three books in one. Um, with an all new cover. The artist that I hired, oh my God, she's so incredible. The forest in here is in the, you see it in Visions of Fire specifically, but the forest that Jack goes to is, it's a rainbow. Um, there's a lot of metaphor in that, and as you read, you'll kind of see it, but it looks like, oh my God, what is the word? You know, like when you're looking through like a mirage almost, or um, like yeah, like a kaleidoscope. That's how the forest is described in here, and I had an artist bring that to life, and it's incredible and beautiful. So that's going to be the cover for this series, and it's going to get the end papers and the foiling and the all of the shinies, lots of new character art. I found an artist who does impressionist style work, which is coincidentally how I see these characters, and she's done a couple of pieces for me, and again, incredible. But yeah, this Kickstarter is ultimately to give this story that owns so much of my heart just the beautiful treatment that it deserves. The sprayed edges, just the whole shebang. I wanted to give this story everything that how I see it and try to bring it to life as in the most beautiful fashion that I can. I've hired my entire dream team of artists to do this. Um, Working with them has been an absolute pleasure, and I feel incredible just getting to work with these amazing artists. So yeah, it is coming. It will be going live officially in June-ish. I'm thinking of 2027, but you can absolutely follow the campaign and follow the updates and whatnot. And you can see the cover there. You can see that the new beautiful cover there.
Awesome. All right. So before I close things out, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you or your work online?
Yeah, I am most active on Instagram. I have a TikTok that I'm really, really horrible about using, and I cross-reference or cross-post all of everything on Facebook. But Instagram is really where you can find me. My username is Jana underscore sun underscore books. Um, if you pick up any of my books and you want to say hey, I'm really responsive, so just slip into my messages and say hey. You'll brighten my day just knowing that there's a reader out there enjoying one of my books. So
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much again for spending this time at the Read Local Show, sharing your creativity with us. As a thank you to the paid supporters of the Lit Carnivale community, Jana does have some additional interview questions that she's going to answer for us later. If you'd like to become a paid supporter of Lit Carnivale, please visit litcarnivale.substacks.com to learn more. Until next time, guys, stay safe, be blessed, and keep reading. Read Local Show Season 3, Episode 3, starring Toy Thomas, featuring Jana Sun. Produced by Toy Thomas in association with the Toy Box Awards and Lit Carnivale. Directed by Toynet Toy Thomas. Read Local Show logo designed and trademarked by Lit Carnivale and Toy Thomas. Intro sequence designed by Toy Thomas with the use of royalty-free images sourced from Pexels.com as well as a featured guest image. Intro music Sunset Dream by Chill, royalty-free. Images provided by Jana Sun. Toy Thomas, Lit Carnivale, nor the Toy Box Awards claims any rights to the images or video content provided. This episode contains copyrighted material, affiliate links and references, and trademarked images and merchandise. Please visit our website to learn more at https://litcarivale.com. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thanks to the Lit Carnivale Read Local Show community at Substack, YouTube, and wherever you can hear this podcast. Have fun reading.